I faked my pregnancy to get revenge on my husband, and I don't regret it. I know how it sounds. I lied about something huge. But when your husband betrays you in the worst way, what would you do? My name is Ava. I was married to Ethan for 6 years. At first, he was charming, thoughtful, made me feel like I was the only woman in the world. But charm fades when truth sets in. And the truth? Ethan was a master manipulator. He didn't hit. He didn't yell. He gaslighted. Subtle jabs. Quiet silence. The kind that makes you question your own mind. If I found a suspicious message, he'd say, "It's just work." If I cried, he'd tell me I was too sensitive. Over time, I started believing him. Started apologizing for emotions he caused. The worst part? Everyone loved him. Our friends, his coworkers, even my own parents. "He's such a good man," they'd say. But they didn't see the texts I wasn't supposed to read, or the way he locked his phone the second I walked in, or how he always had late meetings, but came home smelling like perfume. I confronted him once, calmly, showed him a photo I found. Him and a woman at dinner, holding hands. He laughed in my face, said I was insecure, that I needed help. And maybe he was right, because instead of leaving, I stayed. I stayed and planned something he'd never forget. I knew he wanted a child, talked about it often, said a baby would bring us closer. I disagreed but kept that to myself. Until one day, something inside me snapped. I realized if he wanted a child so badly, I'd give him that. Just not the way he expected. It started small. I skipped a period stress, probably, but I let him believe it meant something more. He lit up, bought vitamins, hugged me tighter. I didn't say the word pregnant right away. I let him say it first. And when he did, I nodded. That was all it took. He believed it instantly. I downloaded a fake pregnancy app. Timed alerts. Random symptoms. I Googled everything: what to expect, what to say, what to fake. I even bought a used positive test from an online forum. Yes, those exist. And yes, I stooped that low. But he earned every piece of it. Suddenly, he changed. Cooked breakfast. Canceled nights out. Started reading parenting books. I watched him transform into the man he claimed to be for years, and it made me sick. Not because he cared, but because he only showed up when he thought he'd get something in return. He told his parents, told his friends. Toasts were made, smiles shared. I played along, wore loose clothes, dropped hints about cravings. It was a performance, and I was the star. I had control for the first time in years, and I wasn't ready to let go of that feeling. At night, I'd lie awake beside him, listening to him breathe, wondering when I'd end it. I told myself I'd stop soon, that I'd confess. But with every fake checkup and every new lie, I felt more power. And after years of being small, I didn't want to feel powerless again. The guilt came in waves, but it never stayed long. Because every time I saw his perfect husband act, I remembered how fast he turned cold when no one was watching. I wasn't just punishing him, I was exposing him, and I wanted to see how far he'd fall when the truth came out. I chose a Friday night. He brought home takeout and flowers. Said he booked us a baby moon in the mountains. He kissed my cheek, touched my stomach, and said, "You're glowing." I smiled, but inside, I was ice. This was the moment. No more lies. I was done. He sat across from me at the table. I asked him, "Do you really want to be a father, Ethan?" He nodded, eyes wide. "More than anything." I stared at him, quiet. Then I said it. "There's no baby. There never was." Silence. I watched the color drain from his face. At first, he laughed. Thought it was a joke. "What are you talking about?" he asked. I repeated it. I faked everything. Then I listed it all the apps, the fake test, the made-up symptoms. His face changed, from shock to rage. "Why?" he shouted. "Why would you do that to me?" I leaned forward, calm, because now you know how it feels to be manipulated. Lied to, used. Welcome to my world. He stood up, pacing, yelled something about betrayal, called me twisted. I let him rant, let him throw his tantrum. Because for once, I had nothing to defend, just truth. He tried to turn it on me, said I ruined everything, said I broke his trust. But I reminded him of every late night, every excuse, every lie he buried with charm. "I just used your own tools," I said. "You taught me how to lie, Ethan. I just learned from the best." He stormed out that night, slammed the door. I didn't follow, didn't cry. I sat back down and finished the meal, alone, calm. For the first time in years, I felt like I had ended something on my terms. He didn't come home that night, or the one after. I wasn't surprised. I didn't check on him, didn't call. For years, I had chased his attention. Now, I let it go. The silence was louder than any argument we ever had, but it felt like peace, not punishment. 3 days later, he came back, eyes sunken, no words, just threw a duffel bag on the couch and stared at me. "You embarrassed me," he said. "To my family, to my friends." I didn't flinch. "You embarrassed our marriage long before I ever opened my mouth," I replied. He wanted me to apologize, to feel guilty, but I didn't. I felt empty, not because I hurt him, but because I realized how little there was left to save. We didn't fight. We just stopped talking. Two strangers under one roof, breathing the same air, living separate lives. His family called. His mom left voicemails accusing me of cruelty, of emotional abuse. Said I shattered her son's heart. I deleted every message. I wasn't interested in defending myself to people who never saw the damage he caused behind closed doors. At work, I smiled. At home, I was quiet. He tried to pretend everything could go back to normal. Bought me flowers, cooked dinner. But I saw through it. The guilt wasn't love. It was desperation. He didn't want me. He wanted the version of me he could still control. One night, I told him, this marriage was over long before the fake pregnancy. I just gave you a reason to finally see it. He said nothing, just stared at the wall. The man who once spoke in circles had no words left. That silence, that was my closure. 2 weeks later, I filed for divorce. I didn't wait for a fight. I didn't announce it. I just did it. The papers hit the table like a full stop at the end of a long, toxic sentence. He didn't cry, didn't beg, just signed. Like even he knew the game was over. I moved into a small apartment. 1 bedroom. Quiet. Mine. I slept better than I had in years. No secrets. No pretending. Just silence that didn't hurt. I bought real food. Watched shows I liked. Danced in the kitchen barefoot. It was boring, peaceful, and beautiful. Friends asked if I regretted it, if I felt guilty. I told them the truth. I regret staying as long as I did, but I don't regret the lie that finally ended it. Some looked at me like I was cruel. Others nodded, because they knew what it meant to be invisible in your own marriage. I started therapy, not because of the fake pregnancy, but because I wanted to understand why I thought I had to go that far to be heard. Turns out, years of emotional neglect twist your mind into thinking only extremes get noticed. I was tired of screaming silently. The lie didn't fix me, but it broke the cycle. And sometimes, that's enough. It forced an ending when I was too scared to walk away. And now, looking back, I don't see a villain in the mirror. I see someone who survived. Someone who learned how to choose herself finally. Some people leave quietly. I left loudly. And honestly, that noise saved my life.